Hello traders and welcome back to a new educational video. This is your host Richard and today we are going to go over a detailed breakdown on Bitcoin because many members ask me on how I come up with the analysis and why we are looking for buy setups. So how about, as usual, go to our chart, delete everything and do it together from scratch. It would be a good practical example, right? Before we get started, as usual, cheers. As usual, we always start from the higher time frames from weekly and daily to know where we stand in the market. Are we overall bullish? We'll be looking for buy setups. Obviously, are we overall bearish? We'll be looking for sell setups. Or are we stuck inside a range? In this case, we'll be trading the range until eventually it's broken upward or downward. So from weekly time frame, we can clearly see that we are clearly overall bullish, right? So we had this impulse movement, a massive impulse movement starting from the start of 2020, and we are currently in a corrective phase. So when we are overall bullish, we're waiting for the correction to be about to end to catch what? The next impulse movement. But we can't really know where the correction would end. It can end here, here, or even go deeper till around the previous low before going upward. And of course, if the previous low is broken downward, then we might have a shift in momentum from bullish to bearish, and we'll be looking for sell setups, obviously. But for now, as per the current market conditions, we are still overall bullish, and we are currently in a correction phase. So we'll be looking for buy setups. But as mentioned previously, since we can't really know where the price might reject and start the next impulse, we'll be looking for key rejection areas to start to look for these buy setups. Let me make my camera a little bit slower to focus on the chart. So first of all, to identify our key rejection areas, we have three types. The first one is a trend line. And obviously we can draw any trend lines here. So maybe we can draw this one, but it's old and not relevant to the current price action. Next, we can maybe draw demand and supply zones, right? And we can clearly see that we've got a supply zone here. Price made an aggressive movement down from it. If you don't know how to identify strong supply and demand zones, don't worry, you can find a video about it on my channel. And we also have a demand area here as price made an aggressive movement upward from it. And you can see that the price is now retesting this demand area. So long story short, from weekly time frame, we can know that just from weekly, and just from plotting our supply and demand, we can know that we are currently around a demand zone, which is acting as a rejection area that might reject price upward. So maybe we would have this impulse correction to our demand, and then we might have the next impulse, which we then expect a higher high, because when we are in a bullish trend, we always expect the price to make higher lows and obviously higher highs, right? So that's it. And later on, when we identify our supply and demand, we go for support and resistance. But first, let's see if we can find or identify any more supply and demand zones. And we can clearly see that we also have a demand zone around this area because we also have an aggressive movement outward from it. Now, so we have a demand, and here we have a supply zone. But I will delete these zones in a bit. Just like you saw here, I don't have any zones, and I'll tell you why just now. Next, we'll go over our support and resistance. And for those who already have been following me and know that sometimes we don't have typical support and resistance, for example, like here, where we have many failed attempts to break below or above a certain level. And of course, eventually it will be broken. But for now, this is acting as a resistance. Then price broke it upward, so it's now acting as a potential support. When we don't, as you can see, we don't have like typical support and resistance. That's why we go for round numbers. And the strongest round numbers here are price is trading between 10K and 70K. So the strongest round numbers are what? Are 10K, obviously, right? I will not draw it like to the point because we want to save time. And 20K. Next, what we would have the 30K. And as you can see, obviously, the price is currently sitting around the 30K. So already we have a demand and we have a 30K round number. So it's which is making the area even stronger. Next, what do we have? We have the 40K, which is here. And as you can see, it's lining up with these rejections here and here as well. Next, obviously, let me put, yes. we have what? The 50K, which is lining up with these rejections. And last but not least, let me update it like this. Last but not least, we have the 60K, which would be around the all-time high. Let me adjust this one. You know what? Let's do it quickly. So the 40K, 30K, and of course, not 3K. Okay, 30K and 20K. That's it, right? So that's why I will delete these zones, because to make the chart clean, right? So let's delete these ones. And of course, these support and resistance areas, which aren't typical, but you know what I mean, that the round numbers are not like laser level, they are an entire zone. So we should treat it like this. Okay, so you have multiple choices. So either you just keep it as a level, but treat it as a zone, or just like I did previously. As you can see, I have highlighted the zone as from 28K to 30K, and from 38K to 40K. And let's just do it. That's it. I only do it for these two because price is trading inside these two. And this is it for the 28. Okay, and I usually like to make the low ones in blue, for example, or red, or it depends on your style. Let's make it like this. You know what? Let's make it in green, because we are going to use the red for our trend lines. And this is it. And of course, you will do the same for the upper one and this one. So 48K here and 58K here, and 18K around this area. But let's keep it this way for now. So what we know is just from weekly time frame that our overall bullish correction phase around a rejection area, which is the 30K, and demand area. So now you are putting all the clues together. It's just like a puzzle, if you want to call it. And we know just from weekly time frame that we are currently trading where inside this area, or what I call a floor. Right, so the price is trading inside this floor. We'll be looking for buy setups around the lower bound or the floor, and sell setups around the upper bound, or what we want to call it the ceiling, unless, right, so we have a range now, and as you clearly see, the price is respecting this range. Rejection here for the resistance, and here and here and here for the support, and the price is currently sitting around this support now. So obviously, just like previously, we'll be looking for buy setups until, of course, the price breaks either side. So we are waiting either for a break below the 30K, and then we can expect a movement till the next support, which is the 20K, which is also a demand area, as mentioned previously from weekly, or we're expecting a break above the 40K. In this case, a movement till the 50K would be expected. So when someone asks me if Bitcoin is going to 100K, of course, then yes, it might be going sooner or later, right? However, before reaching the 100, it has to break above the 40K, then 50K, and so on. So let's take it step by step, right? Even though we might sometimes like to know the overall vision or picture, but we are in a bullish trend. So impulse correction, if you would have an impulse movement here, then we can expect a movement to the 100K because, or 80, 90K, because we are expecting another like higher high. Right? But let's take it step by step as usual. We're trading inside this floor. Let's wait for price to break above it, then above this one, and so on. And let's take it step by step and even break it down. We're around a support area now. We're looking for buy setups unless we have a break below the 30K. Okay, so long story short, we're around support, looking for buy setups unless we have a break below it, then it would become a resistance area. Okay, now, as you see here, why do you see this channel? Because now we know we're selling the market from daily and weekly. Now we can zoom into lower time frames to look for what? Obviously, for buy setups. So if price is sitting around the ceiling, around the resistance, which is the 40K, we will not be looking for buy setups here. We're waiting for price to break it upward, then look for buy setups on the retest. However, since price is sitting around the lower bound of this range, around the 30K, we'll be looking for buy setups here. And then we'll monitor price action here if we close our trade or keep it open. But anyway, I usually recommend to close it. And then if price rejects, then we'll be looking for new buy setups here. And if price breaks it upward, then we will re-enter Of course, we'll be looking for new buy setups to form, and then we will re-enter. Okay, that's how you manage your trade. And anyway, it depends on your style and your risk appetite and your overall vision about Bitcoin and the overall blockchain technology. But for now, let's focus on the chart while looking obviously for buy setups here. Now, we are overall bearish, right? So the price is making lower highs and lower lows, and you don't want to buy blindly, right? A bearish market. We always wait for a momentum, for a shift in momentum from bullish to bearish, from bearish to bullish in this case. So we want the buyers to prove to us that they are taking over. And how do we know that? Simply through market structure 101, that the price now is making lower highs, right? And until the last high is broken upward, we would be in a bearish trend. So lower, lower, and this is it. So this is the last high, and until this one is broken upward, we would be overall bearish, and price can still make a new low and new lower high, dive inside the zone, this entire zone, before going upward, or even break it downward for it to become a resistance. But for now, since it's around a support area, we are still looking for buy setups, and the edge or the probability that the price would reject it is more likely to happen than to break it downward, unless it's broken downward. But even if it's around a support, we will not buy blindly immediately. We want that extra confirmation. And this is exactly the channel that you see. I've highlighted this channel, and let's make it in red. That's why we didn't use the red here, we used the green one. And let's make an offset for it. So this is the upper bound and the lower bound, and that's exactly why you see this one here. I'll be waiting for price to form like a new swing. We can't really know where. It can be here, here, or even here. So the price can like go, let me show you an example. So price can like go like this, for example, and make a new swing high before breaking it upward. But you got the idea. We are waiting for a new swing high to form around our upper trend line to consider it valid, and then we can enter buy on spec upward. Then here we know that the buyers are taking over, and of course, as price dives inside the zone, we can also look for buy stops on lower time frames, because price can still go up like this much before finding a rejection area that might hold price down, which is obviously that you see this red trend line. So that's it for Bitcoin. A simple and straightforward, using only price action and market structure 101. Price is going down. We are not going to buy blindly, even though we are around the support area. We're waiting for extra confirmation like this to enter a buy. Meanwhile, until the buyers prove that they are taking over, we are still overall bearish, and price can still trade lower and lower. If you like the content, don't forget to subscribe, and let me know in the comments what would you like me to talk about next. And I'll see you on the next one.